Hello everyone. Today we will be talking about the positive effects of technology-enabled globalization. And below are your presenters. Let's take a look at today's agenda. We will define globalization and what it means to have a better place to live by looking at 6 categories that include economical, environmental, educational, and political impacts, as well as health and communication. So, the big question is, what is globalization? BBC School defines globalization as the process of interaction and integration among people, companies, and governments of different nations. Amongst other things, this gives rise to increased mobility of capital, faster propagation of technological innovations, and an increasing interdependency and uniformity of national markets. First, in determining whether technology-enabled globalization leads to a better place to live, let's look at the economical effects. Empirical evidence has shown that a greater openness to international trade is a key component in explaining growth performance and has been a critical feature of successful economic progression, as can be seen by the graph that demonstrates the average annual growth of GDP as it increases with the average annual growth of exports. So how do we achieve economic growth? Well, some methods include free trade, movement of capital, labor, and investment in human capital. Another advantage of this is, as shown by the Kuznets graph, is that as the market becomes more open, then we see environmental improvements and an increase in equality. And now the question is, how does technology enable this? Well, here's an explanation from President Obama. And now, let us consider the effects on healthcare.
The effects of globalization have a prominent effect on the improvement of healthcare. From the World Health Organization, improving communications technologies which make it easier to alert the relevant authorities to the outbreak of a particular disease and to share information on health issues. With transportation technologies, drug companies and government now have the ability to ship drugs to the part of the world affected by outbreak of disease. Institutions and professionals seeking to share medical information and provide medical training in the hands of needy peoples can now make use of the product distribution networks and communication technologies. Globalization has also helped to increase quality of life and provide essential care to numerous countries. For example, World Health Organization and UNICEF cooperated in joint monitoring program to improve drinking water source from 50% to 57% from 2011 and 2015 in Ethiopia. In another example, 360 million Africans had access to improved sanitation facilities in 2006. Conversion increased from 33% in 1990s to 38% in 2006. Also, almost a quarter of the population in Africa engages in open defecation. What's the riskiest sanitation practice? It is almost prevalent in Eastern Africa, despite a decline from 43% in 1990 to 33% in 2006. This figure shows the trend from 1990s to 2006 in the proportion of population using either an improved share or an improved sanitation facilities or practicing open defecation by subregions in Africa.
And now, moving on to environmental factors.
Globalization has also contributed in tackling environmental issues. In economic aspect, income increases, thus creating more resources for environmental protections. In the aspect of knowledge, global interactions facilitate exchange of environmental knowledge and best practices. Environmental consciousness will also increase with emerge of global environmental networks and civil society movements. There are also groups formed like PICC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, to monitor and investigate global warming and other environmental issues.
Globally coordinated actions that have been taken at hand has yielded positive results. Several countries have signed agreements restricting nitrogen dioxide emissions. The same goes for chlorofluorocarbons emitted by refrigeration systems, whose first concrete advances were enshrined in the 1997 Kyoto Protocol. Through this treaty, each developed country committed to reducing its CO2 emissions levels for 2008 to 12 by 5% on average compared with its 1990 level.
Created using Powtoon.